From the SABC's Auckland Park studios, good evening and welcome to the first installment of Battlegrounds 2016. This year, in the run-up to the municipal elections, the SABC will be hosting various political parties around the country where they'll be debating various political issues affecting municipal governance in our country. And joining us tonight for the first ever debate, I have Ayanda Dlodlo, who is from the ANC's National Executive Committee. Welcome, ma'am, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And right next to her is Mbuyiseni Ndlozi from the Economic Freedom Fighters. Welcome to you too, sir. As well, of course, as Phumzile Van Dam from the Democratic Alliance. Welcome to you too.
Good to be here.
Well, before we get our panelists to take us through what their parties are presenting before the nation this time around, I want us to just go back, take a step or two back and go to look at how the ANC fared in previous elections. As you can see, 1995, 1996, it got 58% of the vote. And in 2000, it got, 64.8. We're going up in 2006 to 66.3 and coming slightly down to 62% in 2011. That's as far as the ANC is concerned. If we go to the DA got 16% of the national vote in 2000. It got 14.8% in 2006, and then shooting up to 24% in 2011. Well, the EFF, of course, hasn't contested any local government elections before, but in the national poll in 2014, it got over 1 million votes. We're capturing 6.35% of available seats. Just in a nutshell, the performance or performances of the three parties that we have here in previous elections. I want to start with the ANC, Ms. Dlodlo. If you could please, just very briefly, in about a minute and a half or so, take us through the key points of your party's manifesto.
Thank you very much, Will. I'd first like to say to the EFF and the DA that I'm humbled coming from the ANC, that when I look at the two manifestos, a lot of what is in those manifestos actually comes to emulate what the ANC policy and legislation that emanates from that actually speaks to. So the point of departure is not as wide as what I thought it would have been. Building on the achievements that we have made in the past, improving access to municipal services, improving public participation and accountability, promoting nation building, strengthening and developing the local economy. We all talk about local economy and ensuring that we create jobs at that level of government, and promoting education as the apex priority at the level of local government, and also improving health and the special and creating specially integrated communities. So we speak almost the same language, and in some instances cut and paste.
Mr. Ndlozi, cut and paste, you're emulating the ANC?
It's very obvious that you haven't, if anything, studied the EFF manifesto. I thought the opportunity was for you to say what the ANC is going to do. But the EFF manifesto is actually the most fundamental of all of them, because we are trying to localize the 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF into a local government level. The ANC is not talking about the expropriation of land. The ANC is not talking about the aggressive passing of laws to make sure that everybody that does business in the municipalities that we run, some of the percentage goes into the community, that they are forced by law to buy from the local producers. For an example, if Pick n Pay comes into Orange Farm, if there are chicken farmers in Orange Farm, before it buys chicken in China or in America, it must buy it firstly from the farmers inside. If Pep Store comes to sell curtains or blankets in Orange Farm, it must first buy them from the people who produce those things inside Orange Farm, inside that particular municipality. That's a fundamental point of departure. None of these political parties is talking about that type of economic program. Nobody as well is talking about insourcing. It's talking about making sure that we have state-owned companies in regards to the people who build and maintain roads, security guards who work for the municipality, the cleaning staff that works for the municipality, that we are going to make sure that those people are not exploited through EPWPs. We'll transform that whole thing that has been exploitative to our people into permanent, reliable jobs with 4,500 minimum as a wage per month, so that our people have proper jobs, that they can as well have money in their pockets to extend their houses, to go and negotiate credit with the banks, and so on and so forth. This is fundamental, and this is different. This hasn't been done before. No one has spoken about it before. The EFF is the first. And even our conceptualization of the local government, you'll see that the manner in which we talk about it, we don't stick to the mandate that the legislation gives, because we are trying to reimagine everything. We won't wait for a national government to come and deliver schools or to fix schools when our people in the municipality require those services. We're thinking of a municipality that is able to respond efficiently to the people's needs. That's not there in both of these manifestos.
Ms. Van Dam?
Vuyo, I think this is an extremely important election for South Africa. Our country's at the crossroads. Service delivery is getting worse. Corruption's getting worse. It's getting harder and harder to find employment. I think as a country, we have given the ANC ample opportunity to deliver on the promises of 1994. In the beginning, they did well. In fact, in 1994, I would have probably voted ANC myself, and probably in 1999 too. But the ANC is no longer the party that can take South Africa to the next level. We need a party that will create jobs, a party that will be honest and corrupt-free, a party that will deliver better services. The DA is that party. We have proven it in big cities such as Cape Town, where we govern, that we can deliver well. We've proven it in Midvaal, a small municipality outside Johannesburg, that where we govern, there are better services, there's more jobs, and our governments are honest and corrupt-free. So a vote for the DA this election is a vote for specifically that.
Thank you very much. Well, we're going to take a quick ad break. When we return, we're going to ask Ms. Lodlo whether indeed, as Ms. Van Dam says, the ANC is a fan. That's after this short ad break. Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching the first of a series of debates that the SABC will be bringing to you over the next 11 weeks, looking at issues affecting people in local communities where it really matters as we approach this year's local government election. Now, Ms. Lodlo, if I may just pick up from what the DA was saying earlier, is it true? I've had a lot of people saying this, that the ANC is a fan.
ANC is actually getting better. I can't say is a fan. But could I just answer the question from my colleague, the Honorable Mr. Ndlozi? just to prove to him that the things that he says are new, innovative from the EFF, are actually the policy of the ANC, and they are being implemented. Procurement at a local level, Tshwane is doing that currently, as we speak. They've developed 500 cooperatives, and they're buying from them as we speak today. The EFF in its manifesto speaks about free Wi-Fi. Tshwane is doing that currently. They're talking about a state-owned entity for road construction and the likes. The Johannesburg Roads Agency does it. The list is endless. So if we could go back to what is currently in place vis-a-vis what is being proposed by the EFF, you will find that it is already there. So I do not speak from a vacuum. The city of Tshwane, the city of Johannesburg, the city of Ekurhuleni, which is the best run city in the country, already all of that work is there. It is being done. Coming back to the issue of corruption. Corruption is being reported. The figures are high because the reporting is also high. People are getting arrested. Government is recouping money and assets from those that have been arrested. So it is not as if nothing is being done. Could more be done? Yes, of course, more could be done. The courts could be working faster. The police could be investigating better. More could definitely be done, but it also depends on the witnesses that come forward. It also depends on the third parties that are complicit and accomplices to this corruption. That no person should come up and offer a bribe or engage civil servants in corruption. And that's what we want to appeal to business and to the public at large.
Mr. Ndlozi, get over yourselves. You're bringing nothing new.
No, it's not true. I mean, she must show us how many pieces of land have been expropriated without compensation to end the spaceless spaces that we call ghettos and townships in South Africa that have increased since 1994 under the watch of the ANC, where people live in absolute proximity with rats and pigs and rubbish. Have they transformed, Alex? Have they expanded to make sure that that spaceless space is not the way it is? They've not. They've not expropriated any land. No one is talking about the return of the land to our people. And in this case, simple thing like residential land, so that our people have big yards, so that our people have even yards in which they can farm. Our yards are small, in small RDP houses. It's not true. Also, she's talking about select cases. We're talking about what is in the manifesto. What is it that you are planning across the country when you take these municipalities to do? You've got to talk about that, not some selected case of Tshwane or selected case of Johannesburg. What is it that you are planning to do overall in Manamulele, in Vuwani, everywhere, as you take government? And we are saying everywhere, you've got to make the question of building and maintaining roads a state company that is maintained and built by the government, owned by the government. Secondly, the people who are cleaning in municipal offices, all of them must be employed by, they are not in Johannesburg, they are not in Tshwane, they are not anywhere. The government is very much involved in outsourcing, and outsourcing is that people are in precarious labor contracts, number one, and they are super exploited, right next to the offices of people who are talking about decent jobs. So those things are not there. We are saying when we take over municipalities in South Africa, this is our policy which will be consistent everywhere. We won't provide free Wi-Fi in Tshwane only. We'll provide free Wi-Fi everywhere, particularly in rural municipalities.
Ms. Van Dam, the reason you can point to corruption is precisely because, as the ANC says, it is indeed doing something about it.
Firstly, I'd just like to tackle the point about the EFF claiming that their policies are new and innovative. There's nothing new and innovative about the EFF's policies. Like the ANC, the EFF is full of big and empty promises. People living in a municipality that would be governed by the EFF will once again have empty promises. They're promising to expropriate land at municipal level. It is not possible. The laws do not allow expropriation of land at municipal level. The DA this election, we don't have lots of... The DA this election does not have big, blingy promises. We are honest. So if you live in a DA governed municipality, a yes will be a yes, and if it's a no, it will be a no, and we'll explain why. So we do not have big promises that are not implementable. Our promises are credible, they implemented them, we've implemented them, and they've been tried and tested. So if you live in a DA-run municipality, it will mean that you have greater chance of finding employment, you have greater chance of living in an honest, corruption-free government, you have chance of living in a municipality that delivers better services. If you look at the EFF's manifesto, those promises the ones that are implemented have actually been copied from DA policies. They talk about fixing potholes in 48 hours. We fix them in 24 hours already. We're already doing that. They talk about providing free basic services. The DA provides the most free basic services to people that cannot afford services in the areas we govern. The city of Cape Town has spent 2.5 billion providing services to people who cannot afford them. So it's really, really, ANC and EFF, bayafana, big empty promises.
Mr. Loza?
But she's saying big empty promises, but they're the promises of the DA. It's a contradiction. I mean, we are making the same promises as they, but they are empty because they are made by us. I think there's a problem
the ones
there.
That you are copying, you
one of the biggest embarrassing protests in terms of black dignity we have ever seen in the whole world, including the diaspora, happened in the city of Cape Town, where our people carry their excrements to go and protest asking for decent toilets. That type of protest has happened there. The potholes in Khayelitsha are not fixed in 24 hours. Yeah. The potholes in Gugulethu are not fixed in 24 hours. It's not true. The services of that city are known to be very much, firstly, skewed in terms of the rich, and secondly, because the rich in most of the cases, they are white. It's a story of living in Cape Town that you've got to confront, because the services of black people there, some of the most spaceless townships, some of the most painful townships in terms of black dignity, where people live with toilets that don't flush, it's in Cape Town. So if you're talking about the most celebrated city, the only people who celebrate in Cape Town are people who live in the suburbs, and most of them are white. So we have to get over ourselves. And the EFF, the cornerstone of the EFF is, there is no law nationally or locally about the expropriation of land. So it's not like if we are in a national level, we will be able to expropriate land. We're going to fight for the expropriation of land. We will be willing as a municipality to go to the highest court in the country, that you can't, when there's free land, lump people like you are doing in Khayelitsha. Let them live there when there's chunks and chunks of unused land in Cape Town, so that people can have more residential space to live in. It's one of the most painful things to live in a city that is run by the DA, if you are black, by the way, and poor.
Quickly.
2 points. There are laws that deal with expropriation. There's Section 26 of the Constitution, which clearly states how, in order to do that, you'd have to have a constitutional amendment. How would you do that without having a two-thirds majority in Parliament? It's an empty promise, Mbuyiseni. It's an empty promise.
There is. Judge Moseneke has actually demonstrated
you need two-thirds majority in Parliament.
No,
you don't have it.
You don't.
It's empty promises.
Within the current constitutional framework, Judge Moseneke, a constitutional court judge, wrote a piece that expropriation of land is possible within the legal framework that is there now. You haven't tested it, because you wouldn't dare go and expropriate land without compensation from all the white bosses that the DA serves. You wouldn't dare go and expropriate land in Cape Town. You wouldn't.
The supreme law of this land clearly states how land reform has happened, and the expropriation of land must happen.
We're going to go
right
to the highest court in the land.
Good luck. I mean, two-thirds majority, you don't have it. Empty promises.
These are parliamentarians who should be taking this issue for discussion in
All they do in Parliament is disrupt. They don't deal with the issues that people care about. That's all they do.
It is not true, it is disingenuous of Mr. Ndlozi to say the EFF is the only party that has dealt with the issue of land. The issue of land, the ANC has spoken about it. In almost every speech that the president speaks of now, in every speech, he speaks of the issue of land.
If I was president, I wouldn't speak about it. I would actually do it.
As we speak, there is a process of amending legislation on land in South Africa. So it is not as if nothing is being done. This is not true at all. But as Ms. Van Dam says, processes are very clear. If we could just respect the fact that those processes are there. And he would be surprised how we could work together as parties in that parliament to see. Actually, Well, in certain instances, we might just be bafana, because honestly, the issue of land is a very emotive issue for black people in South Africa. And it is about time that we dealt with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another quick ad break. When we return, I want to pick up on some of the issues that have led to various protests that we've seen throughout the country. What are the causes, and how do these parties hope to deal with such issues? That's after this short ad break.
The big news is Newsroom.
We also stream live on YouTube.
Whether you're at home, at the office, or at the gym, wherever you are, Newsroom is right there with you. Bringing you all the latest news, updates, sports, weather, and everything in between. Get all the latest news you need on the go via live streaming on our YouTube channel. That's Newsroom, weekdays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back. You're watching our new election debates program, Battlegrounds 2016. Over the next 11 weeks, we'll be bringing you this program from all over the country, looking at issues affecting South Africans as we go to the August 3 poll, local government poll. If I may just pick up just on some of the issues that have come through various protests, but also various issues that are being raised by people on the ground. I'm going to start with the issue of water and sanitation. Starting with the ANC, what your manifesto is saying about how you're going to improve the situation.
The maintenance of dams is one of the issues that we're looking at in our constitution. Building new dams, desalination, that is already currently underway, ensuring that potable water is made available to our people, the piping of water supply to our people. But we must also remember that the bulking does not take 2 days. It also takes a bit of time. So as we develop systems to ensure that our people get clean water into their houses, we should also have a maintenance plan to go with that, to ensure that that infrastructure gets a plan with it that enables us to be able to look after that infrastructure and not find ourselves in a situation where we have infrastructure that as it ages, it is not maintained.
Water and sanitation.
Look, I think let's paint the picture first. About 780,000 households don't have toilets in South Africa. 315,000 use the bucket toilet system. About 4.8 million people in South Africa use pit toilets. And as far as the 2013 census is concerned, about 18 million people don't have access to adequate sanitation. Sanitation is like at the center. Some of the highest primary schools in the rural areas have got pit toilets, and we know that, you know, there's been cases of death with children falling into them. And the problem of sanitation in relation to local government, it has to do fundamentally with the tendering system, which is corrupt, number one. It goes to incompetent people, but also the municipality can't maintain because it does not build internal capacity to govern in that sense. So you've got to have a company specially dealing with that, with people on permanent contract, with engineers inside. You've got to build state capacity inside, because that's what it does. That's what happens. People get toilets. 2 months later, they don't work. Even if they are flushing toilets, 2 months later they don't work because the municipality just gets some guy who is connected to some ANC person who needs to make quick money. They go, they build a useless service that is not going to be maintained by anybody and go. So you've got to build state capacity. That's how we are going to make sure that we deliver and maintain the sanitation and water infrastructure across the country. We're going to have an internal capacity that we know we are in charge of these things, we're in charge of our deadlines, we can fire you, we can punish you if you don't deliver.
Ms. Van Dam?
The issue of water and sanitation and basic service delivery in general is one that DA governments take quite seriously. We've been able to deliver services in the areas we govern in big cities and small towns, and we can do it for every single municipality in the country. Because we are a government that listens, a government that is caring, the DA has reduced the number of bucket toilets in the city of Cape Town. This was revealed in the non-financial state census of Stats SA. In ANC-run municipalities, in fact, bucket toilets have increased. So we listen to our residents. We make sure that our residents live lives of dignity. We are doing more. We admit there's room for more to be done. And that's why we're saying in the city of Cape Town, that's why we're saying in all 28 municipalities that we govern, we've made progress. Lend us your vote. And if you don't like it, don't vote for us again.
Well, another issue that comes through various memoranda of grievances that people who have been toying and marching to various offices is the issue of, I'll lump it together and say, maladministration, corruption and fraud. How does your party propose to deal with that particular issue? Let me start with you, Mr. Ndlozi, this time.
Look, we have a process where all the councillors, and corruption starts firstly with the inability to hold councillors accountable. Because councillors, particularly in the ANC-run municipalities, are the ones that, give people help in exchange for sex. They take bribes and so on and so forth. Even if they are reported, they are not placed under suspension, they are not punished. ANC just comes, the leadership of the ANC just comes on the day of the elections and tries to do things, and then after that they go back to the national level, they focus on national questions and national problems, and these councillors are led to run with corruption, including mayors and so on and so forth. So you've got to have a system of holding our councillors accountable. And for us, it's going to start with the fact that each and every one of them is going to sign an oath. Once you are reported to have been found, we suspend with the intention of firing you as a council. But over and above, the biggest problem of corruption in South Africa, beyond just having leaders who have got integrity, who've got pride, who know that they want to live in communities that are well run, is the tender system. We have to do away with the tender system. We've got to build internal state capacity. And when we build internal state capacity, it's going to even save lots of money that goes out with tenders that are, they charge us triple the price of doing the service that we are asking them. So if a government builds internal state capacity, the people that are building the roads, the people that are building the toilets and the homes of people, they are right in the municipality. You can hold them directly accountable. If it's a tender company, they are just there. They go, you are left with the problem of corruption as a municipality when it's these tendering people that are doing it.
That's once again another empty promise from the EFF. It's impossible to do away with tenders because governments cannot deliver all the services. Another empty promise. In DA-run municipalities, we make sure that our councillors are firstly appointed on, they have the right skills that are needed to be councillors. They undergo strict interviews, various tests. So we make sure that it's the best people that are appointed to serve communities. Our councillors are also strictly performance managed. You'll have a look, you'll see our list as they come out later this year that there's some councillors that didn't make it back is because they didn't deliver to their communities. So as a DA, we want only the best councillors appointed to serve the needs of our communities.
Ms. Lolo?
Well, as the ANC, we have looked at a number of things that relate to how we select or nominate our councillors, which also now includes ensuring that the community itself becomes part of that process. And I would not believe that the community being part of that process would give us the worst people to govern or to oversee the process of ensuring that services are delivered to them. So that part of things makes us a little more comfortable that it is the people that are part of the process that actually nominates candidates for for that, as ward councillors. That's the first issue. The second issue is that all of them would be subjected to performance agreements. And we have had a number of ANC councillors who have been withdrawn from their work, who have been suspended from the organization. Some of them are in court as we speak. Some of them have been arrested for corruption. So it's not as if the ANC does not act on devious behavior of its councillors or its members. So that is not true. I'd also like to go back to the issue of building state capacity. We have the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agency. It does all of the things that Mr. Ndlozi speaks of. And maybe if we could just give ourselves time to see what it is that the government has in terms of capacity that is in-house to support municipalities. The engineers, the project managers, all of the capacity that you would require to support small municipalities that do not have the revenue to set up these companies that he speaks of. That is available in-house. Small municipalities are provided with that type of assistance. And I'd like to go back to the issue of the tender system. I think we're deceiving our people. It's intellectual dishonesty that I don't think we should go there. Because the tender system has its own flaws in a lot of instances, but you could look at the economies of scale. You could look at a lot of things. You will not have a situation where you could abolish tenders completely. And Mr. Ndlozi sitting here knows that for a fact. It's not true.
Can I chip in quickly?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is very shocking. The apartheid government used to do a lot of things. I mean, why outsource the building of roads? Why outsource what is basic, the basic services that the municipality... I'm not talking about, you know, that the municipality will buy its own water bottles, like it will have a bottle company. So the tendering system...
No.
That's
what we're responding to.
Precisely that.
That's what we're responding to.
That's what happens.
So am I going to talk?
You kept interrupting us, so...
But I'm saying it's a simple thing. What is core to the municipality must be done by the municipality. What is core? Everything that the government is supposed to deliver in as far as the acts are concerned, you must never outsource it.
So you're not going to abolish the tender system?
The mandate, that will be the abolishment of the tender system to what is core to the municipality's mandate. I'm not talking about
that's not what your manifesto is saying.
No, but that's what we are saying. I'm explaining it.
But that's not what your manifesto says.
You can read it. You can read it.
No, we are going to abolish.
We are going to abolish the tender system. We are going to insource, including workers, security guards that guard municipal buildings are going to be hired by us. We won't outsource that. We will not outsource cleaners. We will not outsource the building of roads, the delivery of toilets, of houses, clinics, all those things. We will not outsource them. That's what we are saying. In as far as what is core, what does the municipality supposed to do? If that is a responsibility of the municipality, we are going to build internal state capacity to deliver it. Everything else that is not, it's not part of the debate. And that is how we're going to abolish the tender system. Why do they want to keep the tender system? They want to keep the tender system because that's how they eat. That's how they eat.
No, but Mr.
They're here to defend the tender system because they want to eat.
Okay.
That is how the ANC
do you want to respond directly to that?
eat. They eat all of them.
Once he finishes, so I can talk.
So that there is no intellectual dishonesty. Clean up your manifesto. No, clean up your manifesto. Because what you're saying now is different from what your manifesto says. I read it.
You didn't.
I read it. It doesn't say that.
That's what we're
going. No, it doesn't say that.
The tender system. That is what we've said, and that is what I'm repeating.
No.
Do you know what abolishing the tender system will do? It means that entrepreneurs, including a lot of young people that want to get entry into the economy, are blocked. So it means that young entrepreneurs cannot apply for tenders. They cannot themselves become employers of other people. In order for this country to create employment, we need 1 million entrepreneurs. And some of those people get access to the economy through the tender system. We shouldn't abolish the tender system. There are things that are wrong with the tender system, where, for example, in the ANC government, people that have close links to the ANC are given tenders. You need to have an open and honest tender system. In the DA-run City of Cape Town, bid adjudication meetings are open, so anyone can walk in and see how tenders are awarded. They're not awarded. They are not awarded. No, can I finish?
Can you let us speak?
We've seen corruption in the Western Cape as well. It's not as if the Western Cape government is clean. So
Yes,
she can't
They
speak
are.
here as though they run a squeaky clean government.
You want to give
corruption
credit to
is
your
corruption. It happens everywhere. It's just that they have not been caught. They were caught. They were caught
That is
on these
highly
instances.
disingenuous.
It has made it to the public. So now we know. The issue is corruption is a cancer in our society. It affects our people. We have seen it erode societies. We are dealing with it in the ANC. They are in denial about corruption in the Western Cape.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another quick ad break. This conversation continues.
When Ntando Kunene was crowned Miss South Africa 2016, Trends was there.
And willing to give of her time and expertise to make a meaningful difference in the lives of South Africans.
A leading South African film director, Anand Singh, received a Lifetime Rapid Lion Award. What started as an animation thesis ended up at the Cannes Film Festival.
I wanted to go for like a Pan-African, idea because I wanted to have like a little piece of every culture.
Join Refilo Muilwa every Friday at 9 p.m. on Trends.
Welcome back. You're watching the first in a series of election debates we're going to have over the next 11 weeks in the run-up to the local government election scheduled for August the 3rd. Well, I'm going to give an opportunity to some of the student formations that we had invited. Not all of them turned up, but we'll get a question from each of SASCO, the EFF Student Command, and DASO. Let's start with the gentleman from DASO.
Thank you very much. My name is Mlungisi Ncube from DASO. My question basically is for the three political organizations. I'm a young person growing up in a township. The reality is that the South African society is broken. As young people, we are swimming in the pool of drug abuse and alcohol abuse. Now, my question to the three organizations, can they clearly state their programs on the local and municipal level that they're going to implement to eradicate the problem or the challenges of drug abuse and alcohol abuse amongst the young people of South Africa? Thank you very much.
Okay. Ms. Van Dam, you want to go first?
Thank you very much for that question, Mlungisi. It hurts me very much as a young person to see a lot of my fellow young people struggling to find employment, struggling under drug abuse, being recruited into gangs because they cannot find other opportunities. So what we're doing in the areas that we govern is that we're making sure that our municipalities create the conditions that are ripe for companies to come set up business in the areas that we govern. We want to build 1 million entrepreneurs because we believe that entrepreneurs are the people that will create employment for our young people. And then in terms of drug abuse and gangsterism, what we've done, for example, in the city of Cape Town is that we've worked quite closely with the provincial government to make sure that there are drug abuse clinics that are set up. We've made sure that we've worked hand in hand with the Metro Police and with SAPS to make sure that there are units that go into communities, arrest gangsters, arrest drug dealers.
Mr. Rosen?
It's funny because the question was how we're going to deal with drug and alcohol abuse, and you're talking about crime and gangsterism.
Well, drug abuse is a crime. It's because gangs sell drugs. That's how it
well,
works.
I thought, okay, so the first point of departure is to the diagnosis of the problem is the reason why young people take to alcohol abuse, which is not a crime, and then they take to drug abuse is because there are no opportunities. It's because there are more taverns in townships than there are schools. There are more taverns in townships than there are churches. So it's at the core of the fact that we have macroeconomic policies that have failed over the last 20 years and in the part of the DA over the last 15 years to create jobs, particularly for black people. And these problems, as you know, are mostly in black areas. By black, I mean Indian poor, and then colored poor, and then African poor communities. And so the first thing that we will do is that we are promising a macroeconomic framework that is going to create multiple opportunities, both educational on one hand and on the other, economic. And then at the center of that, we're going to build state-run rehabilitation centers to make sure that we rehabilitate these young people. It's not just jail. It's not send them to the jail, send them to, to the gallows. You've got to rehabilitate them. That's a human thing to do. You shouldn't treat them as like criminals. You must treat them as people who need help. And the modern way to do that is not to criminalize them, is to build rehabilitation centers that at the same time are linked to opportunities, economically, entrepreneurially, sports, arts, and so on and so forth. Maybe we'll come back to the arts, how we are going to revive the question of the arts within municipalities, but that's part of the opportunities that young people will definitely have under an EFF government.
Ms. Dodlo?
It's a multi-pronged approach that we would need to be looking at. One is curbing the proliferation of drugs within our society. The second one is creating an environment that gives hope to our young people. The third would be the rehabilitation of those that find themselves in the cycle of drug abuse. Detection of those that bring drugs into the country. The police need to jack up their systems to ensure that they detect this before these drugs get out onto the streets. They need to make sure that they do not arrest only the runners, but they arrest those that are the big guns behind bringing the drugs into the country, but even those that manufacture them inside South Africa. At a court level, at a prosecutorial level, they need to work hand in hand to make sure that the sentencing and bringing the issues before court, that it is a tight case that would ensure that these people are locked up behind bars and they serve lengthy sentence, and by the time they come out fully rehabilitated. But it is also to provide support and hope to young people that employment is one of the things that is possible, but ensure that you help our children to be entrepreneurs, that they should not only rely on employment as a source of living, as a source of income, but also help them to help themselves as well. But also provide support to families that are in distress because their children are drug addicts or have come into the cycle of drugs. But we must also remember that there is a drug master plan under the Department of Social Development in the government of the Western Cape, government of all other provinces. So that the implementation of the drug master plan, properly funded with all stakeholders on board, assists, but get civil society organizations as well to come on board and assist in the implementation of that drug master plan.
Okay. Let's get a quick question from Sasco.
Is it on? Okay. Hi, my name is Philip Nkuta, the regional chairperson of SASCO. Mr. Ndlozi, or Comrade Ndlozi, he's a student and advanced, I hope. There's what the international city, the city of Johannesburg that is doing to deal with the issues of students, around the particular issues of accommodation, around the issues of access to information like Wi-Fi across the city and so forth. I think part and parcel of the issues that we're also engaging them on, that looking at the issues of access to transportation, I think you'll understand that Soweto campus, one of the usual campuses found in the middle of Soweto. These are the issues of transport for students that we need to deal with. And I'm coming from a perspective as a student dealing with student issues. What is the perspective that they are having as the EFF, including the DASO or DA, to deal with the student issues of transportation, to deal with issues of accommodation, to deal with many issues that are facing students, particularly in the city of Johannesburg? within the context of establishing the student villages or the hubs of students within the city. I think if you can respond in that sense.
Mr. Ndlozi?
No, thanks. Look, the reason why education, particularly higher education, suffered is because of the macroeconomic frameworks that were implemented in the 1990s that cut a lot of funding for higher education. And that forced a lot of universities to outsource residences, caterings, including most of their services, because they were not getting enough from government, and therefore they had to do it business style. So the conceptualization of giving free quality education is possible. There's a report that the higher education minister had which proved that we can offer free quality higher education, which is well-rounded. It includes accommodation, it includes free Wi-Fi, high-speed Wi-Fi, it includes, and that's in the remit if the higher education department took seriously taking care of the rest of the students in South Africa, it could. If this government, that is the government of the day, took seriously the question of higher education, they could within this budget. So it has to do with political will. You can build residences within this budget as it is. You can build residences, all those student villages, you can. But it has to be part of giving access to education as free and of quality across, particularly rural universities. Universities of Venda, for an example, if you go to residences there, it's awful. It's like you are in Alex. So moving from Johannesburg, you've got to think of all those rural universities that don't have sanitation, that don't have free Wi-Fi, that don't have libraries. If they've got libraries, all the textbooks that are there are outdated. Okay. So you've got to go and resource those libraries, help all those rural universities by giving them resources to build residences and all other things that are important.
Okay, she said the question was directed at you as well.
Thanks, my brother, for that question. I think it must be awful to be a student, to come from a community and get to university, and when you get there, you don't have the money to buy books, you don't have money to travel from where you live to school, you can't get accommodation at the university. I think it must be really awful, and it's an issue that government needs to deal with. What we've been pushing for as a Democratic Alliance is for more funding to be allocated to universities. One of the biggest tragedies of post-apartheid South Africa is how the ANC government has severely underfunded our universities, meaning that universities aren't able to build enough residences, aren't able to provide enough bursaries. So what we're pushing for as the DA is making sure that the higher education department is given enough funding so that it can provide for students. I mean, if there's money to spend 250 million on Kandla, there is most certainly money to build residences for students.
Okay. A question from the EFF Student Command.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Nomthandazo Chobeka. First and foremost, I just wanted to congratulate the EFF with filling up the Orlando Stadium. And I just want my national spokesperson to just actually highlight what we're going to implement when we actually win the municipalities, you know, especially Tshwane. So I just want him to emphasize of the corruption, how we're going to manage and make sure that we actually deliver what we need to deliver to South Africans. Thank you.
Rosa?
Thanks. Look, the Orlando Stadium obviously demonstrates that we are the future and no one can stop us. But there are many problems. The spatial planning that we inherited from apartheid still remains. Black people live far from the city. Even if you take the malls inside, they still live far from the services that they're supposed to access. Number one, an EFF municipality offices will be open 6 days a week, so that people who work during the week can also come and get services, can come and make inquiries on a Saturday. Then number two, all our councillors are going to have to be available 24/7 to assist our people, particularly the elderly with IDs and so on and so forth. The other most important thing is that we want clinics that work 24/7, because people don't get sick during the week only. People don't get sick during the day only. In fact, the sickness takes height scientifically at night. So you've got to make sure that the clinic is there. That's how you're going to depopulate the overpopulation that is in hospitals, is that primary health care must be accessible 24/7. And I mean, you know, if you live in a municipality of the EFF, you'll be able to get a clinic at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Thank you very much. We're going to take another quick ad break. This debate continues right after this.
does this extreme heat affect basic conditions of living?
Food spoils more readily, and the risk of food poisoning outbreaks or food poisoning in a household.
Should we experience another heat wave soon, and it's coming?
First sign is always thirst. Thirst is a sign that already your body started to be dehydrated, and that's a very early sign that most people will be able to sort of pay attention to and then act on. That doesn't warrant any serious medical attention. But the minute that you start to feel slightly nauseous, that you start to feel dizzy, that's a sign that you need to stop what you're doing, get out of the sun, get into a cool area, slow down your intensity, get hydrated, cool down.
Join Dr. Sello Mutawung every Saturday from 9 till 10 in the morning.
Welcome back. You're watching Battlegrounds 2016, our debate program looking at political parties contesting various municipalities in our country in the lead up to the August 3 local government election. Well, we have the three biggest parties in the country following their respective launches of their manifestos. Well, before I ask you to make some concluding remarks in the few minutes left, I'm going to ask we have a special guest in the name of Mosotho Moepya, who is the Chief Electoral Officer, just to talk very briefly about the importance of an atmosphere conducive to a free and fair election, touching perhaps on the expected what we should expect from our political parties as they begin these kinds of debates, but also as they canvass throughout the country.
Thank you very much. I think the question of free and fair elections in our country, it's at the heart of every election that we undertake as the Electoral Commission. But we do not do this on our own. Political parties are a fundamental player and their supporters. In these elections, it is apparent that more than ever before, the adherence and enforcement of the Electoral Code of Conduct is going to be an issue central to our elections on leading to the 3rd of August 2016. It is important to say that that environment is not created on election day. It is created every step of the way leading to that day. The code requires that political parties, their leaders, their office bearers, their supporters, and indeed everyone that follows them adheres to that code and in fact they promote that code and help to enforce it. To do this, the Electoral Commission, as it is required in law, has in fact determined that code, and that code cannot be enforced by ourselves as the people that determine it. The law is clear. It is enforced by none other than the Electoral Court. And I want to call all parties, all their leaders, and all their supporters to in fact ensure that where there are these violations of the code, that the Electoral Court is used speedily to obtain the remedies that are required. Today's debate was a symbolic one in many ways. No one in this studio, even amongst the audience, and from the leaders of political parties represented there, scratched each other. No one used foul language against the other, and no one showed intolerance to the views expressed by the other. This must be taken beyond this studio. It must be lived in this country. It must be experienced by everyone. No one supporter, no one citizen must lose their lives for somebody to win an election. And we want to call upon these political parties to please ensure that that climate is realized. For our part, we plead that we will conduct these elections in a manner that will make the winners worthy of their win, and those that lose to understand that they have lost with dignity. We want to encourage everyone to participate in these elections and to have their voice heard. It's all in your hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Chief Electoral Officer. Well, I'm going to give each one of you, we've run out of time, 30 seconds each to make your concluding remarks.
I think as a DA, we're really looking forward to this election. I think it's a great thing for South Africa's democracy that South Africans have so much choice this election. They can vote for the DA, they can vote for the ANC, they can vote for the ANC, for the EFF. There's a lot of choice. But what we're saying as a DA to the electorate of South Africa is that we have clear, workable, implementable plans. We want to provide jobs, we want to provide better services, we want to give you honest and corruption-free municipalities. A vote for the DA this election is a vote for you, it's a vote for your community, it's a vote for your family.
Mr. Ndlozi?
The tendering system is not responsible at all for why there are no jobs in South Africa. The tendering system has been there, but unemployment has increased. It's not true that if you eliminate the tendering system, you're taking away entrepreneurial opportunities from young people. The only reason why there are no entrepreneurial activities for many young people is because the market is dominated by white monopoly capital. In an EFF-run municipality, and we are the only choice. We're not going to say there are many choices. We are the only choice. We are the newest thing around. We are the thing no one has tried. And everybody else has been given an opportunity. We're not asking for 20 years. We're not asking for 5, 10 years or many years. We're just asking for a chance for 5 years to run the municipalities in South Africa, because the EFF municipalities, the manifesto is a manifesto that is definitely going to change the poor people's life, because it is skewed in the interest of the poor. It is the last hope for jobs and service delivery.
Ms. Dodron?
Thank you very much. As I said earlier on, these manifestos are based on the policies of the African National Congress. The reduction of outsourcing is here in the ANC's manifesto. Municipal capacity that Mr. Ndlozi speaks of is in the ANC manifesto. Opening up clinics for 24 hours, it's here in our manifesto. So a lot of the things that we've discussed today are in the ANC manifesto. You find them in the policies of the African National Congress. Implementation. A lot of them have been implemented. Please go to the ballot box, go to the polls, vote for the African National Congress. We will not say to you, by all means possible, the only way to win an election is through the ballot box. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being part of our first debate in a series that will go on every Sunday, 6 to 7, here on SABC 1 and Channel 404. The SABC, of course, being your where to go if you want to hear what political parties have to offer, but also if you want to hear what it is exactly that people on the ground want from these political parties and others that we will be featuring in this debate series. For now, it's a good night. Thanks very much for watching. Do join us again next week, same time.
A lot more Africans are getting smartphones.
You've got 150 million people using mobile devices in this country.
This means internet connectivity is increasing. That results in access to information. Some are using